Perfect.
Yo! What is good? Sixers Nation. Back at it again, man. We got the guys back. Pre-draft show, Philadelphia 76ers edition. It's draft eve, man. We only got one draft pick. But the news and rumors never stop, man. Lots going on today. We're going to break it all down, man. You know how it rolls. You know how it goes. 80 people in the chat. Wherever you guys are watching, man, hit that thumbs up button, man, for the squad. Hit that subscribe button. Let's go, man. Less than 24 hours. We got the guys. We're going to break it all down, man. Excited to be back. Let's go. I'm RB. We got Romp, DJ, Eastwood. We're live on 2 channels. Philly Take with RB and Run It Back Philly. Shout out to Sixers Talk with Romp as well. We're back. We're going to be talking about the draft tomorrow night. Like I said, only one draft pick. But you know how a Sixers offseason goes, man. Never dry. Lot going on. We have rumor left, rumor right. Could we, pull off a trade on draft night? Could one of your favorite Sixers be on the move? We will discuss it all, man. Romp, DJ, what's going on, fellas? How are we feeling?
I'm feeling good. I really am. I'm kind of nervous for what's going down. I know we're building the Philadelphia Rockets, it seems like. But I think there's some stuff to be encouraged about, but there's also some things that need to be handled. Doc Rivers, but that's not going to happen, unfortunately. So, yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Rob, that was positive, man. Oh, my.
I'm working on it.
I didn't expect
that.
Times
are changing, man. Times are changing.
I'm working on it.
It is becoming the Philadelphia Rockets, but it's the Philadelphia Rockets plus Joel Embiid, something the Rockets never had. But also it's only the Philadelphia Rockets if James Harden semi gets back to, what he's supposed to be or what he's capable of in shape. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm feeling pretty good too, man. I'm feeling pretty good. I think Daryl Morey knows that he has a lot of work to do. You can't come back with the same team. You can't run it back. Can't do it. He knows that. So he's going to try his best to make some things happen for sure.
Yeah, man. Sixers trying to finish that unfinished business of the 2018 Rockets, apparently. We'll talk Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker. All right, Danny Green could be on the move. Matisse Thybulle. We'll talk about the 23rd overall pick. Will the Sixers end up keeping the pick? We only have one draft pick. So it's like it's a different type of vibe here, with draft night coming up tomorrow. But we're going to try to break it all down and give some thoughts. We'll also hit the call-in line later on. So be sure to stay tuned in if you want to give your thoughts, call into the show. We'll put the number up a little later on. But yeah, how about we start it off with some news that actually just went down a little while ago, not Sixers related, but trade frenzy is kicking off at the right time. It's not even draft day yet, and we got it going on already. That is right. A little while ago, this news coming out, the Detroit Pistons trading Jeremy Grant to the Portland Trail Blazers for a 2025 first-round pick via Milwaukee. A lot of, reaction on both sides. Some people saying, oh, that's all it took. Other people saying Pistons did what they needed to do. Now they have $34 million in cap space. Guys, your thoughts on this? Any input here? I know some people like Jeremy Grant.
Dame, you got to get out, man. What are you doing here?
Oh, no, Dame's staying for the rest of his career now.
Go ahead, Romp.
I think it's a good deal for both sides. I think the reason they didn't get a lot back is because it's an expiring deal. So Jeremy Grant would have to want to be in Portland. Supposedly he wants to be there, so they're probably going to sign him long term. So I think a lot of teams were iffy to go for Jeremy Grant just because, that he didn't want to sign with them. So, but I think I mean, it seems like a first-round pick's pretty damn valuable. I mean, Christian Wood to the Mavs for basically a first-round pick, and now Jeremy Grant to the Detroit Pistons for a 20 to 30 first-round pick. Most likely it's going to be because it's the Bucks, and Giannis is going to have that team winning. So first-round picks seem very valuable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it shows. I didn't think it was a lot. I mean, just that pick doesn't seem like a lot to me, just based on like the perception that Jeremy Grant has had the past couple of years. Like, and it was always this: is he really a number one, or is he only dropping 25 a game because he's taking 26 shots on the Detroit Pistons? And I've people have thrown his name out there for the Sixers a lot of times. And I just always kind of thought he was overrated. I think he's a lot better now than he was when he was here, when he was younger. But I think this shows that this shows kind of what he's worth. Like, we're not going to give you a haul for Jeremy Grant. We know he was, leading scorer on the team, I guess, or was it Cade Cunningham last year? I don't even know. But I just think this is what he's worth. A late first-round pick. It is what it is. But you're right, it's expiring. I think he's come out and said before what he thinks of himself. He wants to be the number one option on a team. Everyone's like, okay, Jeremy, calm down. You know what I mean? So I think this is like, all right, maybe he came to the realization, like, I'll go to Portland and be number 2 to Dame, maybe number 3. Maybe Simons is number 2. I don't know.
I feel like this was the place where the Blazers finally get a guy they feel, can be one of those guys. Because, the Blazers aren't getting anybody in free agency. Dame, his resiliency to keep going with this process. And, they're talking about getting this guy, talking about Zach LaVine. At the end of the day, the best you could get was Jeremy Grant. It definitely shakes things up. I'm surprised, they didn't even have to part with number 7. So I think it's actually a win there for the Blazers in that aspect. But when you think about what Detroit's trying to do, I feel like it's a win-win. Detroit wanted to get him out of there. He never fit. That contract was just absurd. I like Jeremy Grant, seeing him, go through his career. But at the end of the day, like DJ said, like, we kind of overvalued this guy. And, a lot of people at one point were saying this is the piece we need, right, to put us over the top. I don't know about that.
I'll take him. I would take Jeremy Grant.
Well, I'm not saying I wouldn't take him, but is he the piece, that puts a team over the top? I think that's the question.
Not at that price. Like, it's almost like a Tobias Harris, almost, like third or fourth option making, now what was it? 34 million, 21 million trade exception. I don't know.
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot for Jeremy Grant. If you could get him at a contract that seems more his contribution level, then yeah, I think any team would be happy to have him at a third or fourth option. Depending on the other players, again, he has to fit right with certain guys. He's a certain type of player. Not enough of a sharpshooter to really stretch the floor for I wouldn't want him here in Philly, especially with Tobias Harris at the 4 position. I wouldn't want him here.
Yeah, I agree. I think that I think it'll be interesting to see kind of like how the trades shape throughout draft night. Like Romp said, that Christian Wood trade, that was something too. The Rockets going in that direction, just taking on a bunch of expiring pieces and probably going to get rid of them. And there's been some interesting trades. So I'm not putting it past Daryl Morey to get something done. But let's talk about how you guys feel about Daryl Morey. A lot of backlash over the last couple of days. This whole news comes out about PJ Tucker. People are losing their minds. You guys know how I've historically felt about Daryl Morey. I think he's been put into a lot of tough situations. I'm not going to say he's been perfect. The way I view it, it's been a while since we talked, but Daryl Morey came in here the first off season. He got rid of Al Horford. Last off season had to deal with the whole Ben Simmons thing. And now I feel like it's the Tobias Harris thing. Like, I feel like each off season he's had this big roadblock in the way. I'm actually predicting that Tobias gets traded this off season. But even if he doesn't, Daryl Morey has his work cut out for him. And, I'm happy that he's trying to go out and make some noise, man. What do you guys think?
Well, I personally don't like him. Like, he just annoys me. But He definitely has been put in a tough situation. I think people are kind of getting too wound up about the PJ Tucker signing. I actually like that. I think we should do whatever it takes to get PJ Tucker because he's exactly what we need. And I know it's an overpay, but like if you make the space, you're going to offer anyone 10 million. I thought it would only be like 1 year, 10 million, or 2 years, 20 million, but 3 years, that's going to get you PJ Tucker because no one else is going to be offering that. And Miami is a very, very attractive destination, especially when you consider that they're probably going to be landing another star because Pat Riley is a very good GM himself. So they're going to be doing some business. They're going to be back in the hunt. So PJ Tucker, he wouldn't mind going back to Miami. So you're going to have to make that offer very enticing. And I think he's exactly what we need. And I feel like all the people complaining about his contract, 15 games in the season, they would completely forget what he's making. Plus, Danny Green got paid $10 million a year last year or whatever it was. And that dude moved like he was 40 years old. So like, at the end of the day, it's an overpay for sure. And it's a poverty franchise move, but we are a poverty franchise. Let's just be real. So we're going to have to do it.
I don't actually, unless if people didn't look at the age number, they wouldn't even know. They wouldn't even know PJ Tucker was 37. They would not even know. He made James Harden look 57 in that series. They wouldn't even know. And I think you have to base this off of his level of play right now and what he looks like right now and what you think he can give you for the next 3 years. Some guys can't play past 35. Some guys, I know guys that are in their mid-40s that run me off the court. Like, he just seems to be one of those guys that's not really slowing down, at least yet. I think there would probably be some kind of option in the third year. If he's 40 years old and he could still get on the court and he could still help your team, then he plays that third year. I don't even really when you bring up Danny Green, that makes me feel like it's not really an overpay because you paid Danny Green that money and all that dude could do was shoot corner threes and literally nothing else. Can't dribble, can't pass, can't defend anybody. Sometimes he was still semi decent defender, but he wasn't really 3-and-D anymore. And PJ Tucker, man. Philly's going to love this dude. If they get this done, this is a Philly guy. He's not from Philly, but this is a Philly guy. This is exactly the kind of guy that should be in this franchise. The fans are going to absolutely love him. You won't see him quit on a play. You won't see him not chase a loose ball out of bounds or run for a loose ball in the fourth quarter of a meaningless game on a Monday night in the regular season. He's just that kind of guy. He's that annoying guy at the park that just hustles way too much, and you're like, bro, seriously, we're playing a pickup game. Calm down here. That's PJ Tucker. So I just think he's the type of player that the fans are going to love. And, hey, the leading corner three-point shooter in the NBA, still 46.5% last year. Hustle, stretch the floor, and work people on offensive rebounds. And in Game 6 of the Miami Heat series, he had the same amount of offensive rebounds as Joel Embiid with 4. So that just shows you how much he hustles at his size. And everybody else had 1 or 0. So I'm all in on PJ Tucker. I love it. Give him the $10 million. I don't care. It's Josh Harris's money, not mine.
Yeah, and here's a quote from Mark Stein, the article he put out. It says, if PJ Tucker is prepared to leave Miami, Philly is now regarded as by far the favorite to sign him away. Tucker poised to receive a 3-year, $30 million contract in free agency. We just talked about that. A couple things I want to add to everything you guys said, because I agree. One thing I think that goes undernoticed here is that, the Sixers franchise needs to listen to Joel Embiid, right? We've obviously talked about Joel Embiid being more vocal, as a guy demanding what he wants. This was one of the first times Joel Embiid straight up came out and said, yo, we need PJ Tucker-like guys on this team. And as soon as one of those guys becomes available, like you just said, who impacted a playoff series on both sides, I mean, the way he took James Harden out of some of those games was incredible. I mean, I forgot he was 37 years old. And, when you have PJ Tucker playing like that, and also, being a former Daryl Morey guy, being on some of those good Rockets teams, being former teammates with James Harden, we need a guy that can kind of stay out of the way, and impact on the defensive side of the ball and knock down some shots. I just don't understand the methodology and the thinking from some of these fans, that get pissed off about this. I mean, we had Furkan Korkmaz sitting on the bench for $5 million. PJ Tucker's costing you what, 10? And on the tail end of the deal, of course there would be, some type of option included. You're not going to give a guy $10 million guarantee when he's 40 years old. That just doesn't happen. And also, I mean, if we're thinking about a guy that's getting paid, what, $40 million a year, yeah, that's a lot different. We're talking about a $10 million contract. You look at the free agent market, it's very thin right now. There's not a lot of PJ Tucker-like guys. So the instant he becomes available and we're all in on him, I don't know how you can be frustrated with that, man. Like, this makes so much sense. Joel Embiid advocated for it. And you need, this team lacked mental toughness. They openly admitted it. And you have a guy also that you can steal away from another Eastern Conference competitor. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know why anybody would be mad about this.
Yeah, I was texting a Milwaukee Bucks fan on Twitter the other day, and I was telling him they should low-key think about going for Kyrie Irving. I was just getting his thoughts on that opinion, and he basically was like, blah, 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 blah. And then at the end, he was like, I would get rid of Chris. No, he was saying how Chris Middleton isn't a good enough defender. They still need PJ Tucker. He brought up PJ Tucker, how much they missed him last year, like just out of the blue when I was talking to him about what they should do. So that just goes to show how big of a help PJ Tucker is. And also, if you go on like Reddit, like the Miami Heat, you go on like YouTube comments of Miami Heat videos, they all love PJ Tucker. You won't see any negative things about PJ Tucker. So this dude, he's going to come in, he's going to be a great player. And number two, that contract, $10 million a year, we could use that potentially. Say it does go south, it goes wrong. You could use that in a potential trade to match contracts. Because although everyone's like Furkan is a trash contract, but he's like one of the only players who, can make Eric Gordon possible because he's a $5 million deal and Eric Gordon's making $19 million. So we got to throw in Danny Green and then we got to throw in Furkan. But you have a $10 million guy in PJ Tucker. It goes south. It doesn't work out. You could throw him in a deal and get like a $20 million contract in return. Say you put a valuable piece next to him. You could flip him in a trade because that contract can match other contracts. So it's not as bad as people think. Plus, you only get one MLE. You only get one MLE. You can't just be offering multiple MLEs. So the only player I would rather over PJ Tucker, and this is even a big what if, considering what PJ Tucker brings in terms of toughness and physicality, I would rather Nick Batum over him just because he brings a better offensive fit. But I could even argue I'd rather PJ Tucker over Nick Batum. Plus, Nick Batum seems to be pretty much locked in the Clipper land.
Yeah, I also think the fans, when a move or a potential move or a rumored move hits the surface, the fans automatically react as if that's the only move that's happening the entire offseason. That's my thing. So the rumor comes out, hey, the Sixers are offering PJ Tucker. They're like, oh, really? This is going to get us the championship? Really? PJ Tucker's going to get us over? Nobody's saying PJ Tucker is going to get you over the hump. There's still obviously things that need to be done. I just think it would be one step in the right direction, and fans have to accept the fact that we are in win now mode. This team is in the most win now mode of any team ever. Like, this is it. This next 4 years is it. It just is what it is. If you get a guy that's 37 and plays 2 good years, that's the kind of moves they're going to make for the next couple of years because they're just going to try to win as many times as possible in the next 3 or 4 with Joel Embiid. And that's the way it is. So you're going to see draft picks being traded. People are going to cry about that. You're going to see old players be signed who are still good, who are veterans, who are experienced. PJ Tucker is exactly that, exactly what I would expect a team that's looking to win to sign. And yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to get him on a 1-year contract because that's what the Bucks are always in. Also, they're always in win now. We're going to get the veterans. We're going to get the 1-year guys that are here to win and might be done next season. 3 years is, not nice to think about a 37-year-old, but Romp is also correct that I think nobody else is probably going to offer him 3 years. So that's the way that maybe you win this free agency with him is offer him 3 with a team option at the end.
Yeah, I agree. And Mr. Roddy with a $5 donation says PJ Tucker at 37 is our 4th best player. Yes, Romp, he's light years better than the Turkish bricklayer. That's a great nickname. I love it.
Romp found a way to still talk up Korkmaz by saying that he has the most tradable contract. That's where we're at. That's the extent we're at now. Okay, fine, he's trash, but he does have a very tradable contract.
Just wait till he goes to a good developmental team like the Golden State Warriors. Whew, he's gonna have a title one day, man.
He's gonna need a staff that can inject some other DNA in him because he does not have NBA legs.
Romp, he's forever a FERC guy. He's there's no changing him. No changing him at this point.
He's my boy.
SRT with the $2 donation says PJ staying in Miami 3 years, $27 million. I don't know about that. I don't know. And back to what DJ was saying, nobody is going to get PJ Tucker on a 1-year deal, right? He opted out of a 1-year player option for $7.4 million. Like it's clear as day. Like he either wants more years, maybe at least a 2-year deal, or more money. And that's a testament to how he played in the playoffs. And the last thing I want to add on top of that to what you guys said is, this is a guy with some championship pedigree, right? Like he didn't stay with that Rockets team. He went to Milwaukee. He got traded. He won a championship. He knows what it takes, deep in the playoffs, in a game 6 where it's a must win at home, right? PJ Tucker knows what it takes not to get embarrassed in front of your own fans. And I understand the idea of wanting to go young. I'm sure it's something that'll come up on this show, right? We do want to get younger. We want to get more athletic. But like DJ said, like it's not just a one move thing. Like it's a trickle effect. Even though you want to get more athletic, you want to play some of these young guys, you still need vets. You still need leaders coming off the bench that when you get to a playoff series, no offense, but you can't have every guy on your bench coming off who's under 24 years old. You need some of those guys if you are indeed in win mode. And that's what the Sixers are. We have to face it, right? We're banking on James Harden to be healthy. We're bringing back Maxey, Harden, Embiid. In a couple years, this could go south. We might have to move those contracts. I'm a believer that Daryl Morey is shopping the Tobias Harris contract. He might not be able to get anything for it. But even if he doesn't, he's trying to surround the core, surround the cast with some better players than a Furkan, a Shake, who are inconsistent getting to the playoffs. I think he's going about it the best that he can based off, who's out there right now.
Well, here's my issue with Daryl Morey. The thing that he messed up was the Ben Simmons deal. And that's what he messed up because he could have got a borderline all-star player, and then picks. And that's what he messed up. So now he's in kind of a predicament where he has to be near perfect.
Which player are you referencing when you say an all-star? CJ McCollum?
CJ McCollum or
okay.
I was just wondering. Tyrese Halliburton, because he waited. CJ was gone, and then he waited, and then Halliburton was gone. And then that's when I got on board with the Harden thing because there was no other options. Everyone was gone because he kept waiting and waiting. See, in my opinion, I think that's where he messed up. Now if James Harden comes back and be's a James Harden he could be, then you could argue it was the right move. But I think he had a chance to really solidify the future of the Sixers and get like picks and get quality role players while keeping depth. And I think we would be, I don't know if I would say a better spot, but just like a more positive spot.
Yeah, I don't think I can say yet because James Harden's such a question mark after only playing 2 months with the team and apparently either re-injuring hamstring and never saying anything or having a hamstring injury the whole time but was never listed on injury reports. I don't know. But all I'm saying is, yeah, I'd have to see what he looks like this season to really be able to definitively say what I think about the moves that Morey made. If James Harden comes out and looks like he did in the playoffs this past season, he comes out this season and looks like that, then I'm totally out, and this was the worst signing you could have ever done. But I like Daryl Morey is not in the mindset of let me get things for the future. He's just not. He's gonna go all in. I mean, it's what he's always done. Somebody pointed out today that he left the Rockets high and dry, spent all their assets, didn't work out, and bounced. Maybe he does that to us. I don't know. I mean, Elton Brand already did that. He's still here somehow, but I just think Daryl Morey is like, does Halliburton or these other trade packages get me into the NBA Finals? And I think that's the dilemma that he had and the choice that he had to make. James Harden, if he still has it in him, him and Joel Embiid can get you to the NBA Finals. If Maxey takes another leap, there's a lot of ifs, but I just think he had to look at it like, his 21-year-old Halliburton get me to the NBA Finals in the next 2 years? I don't know. It's all about Joel Embiid's timeline. So it might be a lose-lose. It might be a win-win. I can't even say right now. I really can't.
Yeah, and a report came out earlier today saying that it's likely that Harden will opt into the player option and then take an additional 2 years on an extension. I think like the specifics of the contract will tell a lot. I mean, if we're paying near max money for James Harden, we could be in trouble, especially if he doesn't look the same. And I will agree, Daryl Morey, he tries to go for those big names. He went for his guy. This might be an off take, but I still think we're better off because we got rid of 3 more years of a guy that will not play basketball and will not get better. And I think in that situation, we're better nonetheless. I'm confident in Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, but we'll have to wait and see, kind of how that core builds out. I still think that Tobias contract is hindering us. I'm predicting he gets traded, but that's if there is a team willing to take him on, because I think that would also provide future flexibility and we could still get better. But maybe we, bring him back, right? We haven't had a core that kind of stayed together. And even if we, can't remember this far back because Harden looked awful. I mean, for about 5 games, he looked like, the next big thing with Joel Embiid. So maybe he can pull that out if he gets a full, off-season arrest under him. But I guess it just remains to be seen. We have to hope and pray, that he looks like his old self a little bit.
We have to pray that he's getting rest also.
Yeah.
Not party until 5 a.m.
Here's the thing though, like we're
Kanye
screwed.
West and whoever else.
I hate to break it to you, but we're screwed either way because we have Doc Rivers. Like the thing is, a system built around Harden's not going to get you a championship. Like it has to be like 50-50 Maxey Harden, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And Maxey has to be like legitimately by the playoffs. If we want to reach the mountaintop, I think Maxey has to be like near number 1 option where defenses are like, oh, we got to play Maxey, Harden, and Embiid. But if it's just where we're, banking on Harden just running everything like he did last year, he's going to gas out in the playoffs. I mean, we saw with Chris Paul this year. He's in wonderful shape. He's a vegan or whatever it is. He takes care of his body. He's still gassed out in the playoffs. So no matter what, with Doc Rivers, we're not going to run a system where Maxey gets as much touches or just not as much team basketball. And that's very easy to game plan and take away in the playoffs. So pretty much we're screwed, is what I'm saying.
I think Doc Rivers is definitely on the hot seat. I wish he would have been fired also, but I think he's definitely on the hot seat, and I think he might be being pressured by other people in the organization, kind of like, hey, this is definitely your last shot here. And play some younger guys if you have to. I know you hate analytics. I know you hate numbers, but here's like, if the numbers are glaringly obvious, if you're getting out rebounded by 20 and you got a Paul Reed or you got a DeAndre Jordan, like play the obvious guy here that can get you some rebounds. It's not rocket science. I think they might be in like, meetings with him like, listen, Doc, we know you're legendary, but this is it here. So change it up a little bit or you're canned. And maybe like 10 games into the season, we get we're like 2-8, and there's a big argument, and Doc Rivers like quits or something. That's probably the best way this could go, as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't want him here either. But the problem is his contract, and Josh Harris is not interested in basketball. He's interested in how to make biggest return on investment. Like that's all he cares about. He's like, I got this guy for 5 years. It is what it is. Everybody deal with it. yeah, I don't think we're screwed, but I don't think Doc Rivers makes it the whole next season if we struggle a little bit.
Shout out to everybody watching us, man. 430 people up in here watching combined on the channels, man. Hit that thumbs up button for the squad. Shout out to Hayden with the $10 donation. I'll read that in just a second. I just want to add 2 quick points on what these guys just said. I agree with their points. Number one, man, it's going to be interesting with Doc Rivers, and we never got a chance to talk about this, but I'm praying. I know you guys feel the same way as me. Like, do not let Sam Cassell leave this building, man. Like, if Utah comes in swinging, if somebody else comes in, you cannot let Sam Cassell leave, right? You look at Ime Udoka, you look at Monty Williams. We can't go through this again, man. We can't go through this again. I really hope it doesn't happen. And the other thing I wanted to say and get your guys' take on real quick is, I don't know, man. It's kind of interesting. It's kind of a positive feeling for me for once, but finally, like, everybody has some pressure on them, Maybe it's a weird thing to say, but, we're hearing Daryl Morey shopping Matisse Thybulle, which we'll get into. Danny Green, Shake Milton, Furkan Korkmaz. I feel like we're finally taking a little bit of action because the last couple off seasons, it's been like, all right, we'll upgrade the bench. We'll get somebody. But here we are, and it's like, well, you got to produce, right? Romp wasn't, but we were high on Matisse Thybulle, right? Like,
oh no, I'm a fan of him now. I'm on the Thybulle train. No,
you make no sense sometimes, man. No, I'm just kidding. But Matisse Thybulle was a guy like a couple years ago. Oh my gosh, he's one of the best young defenders. He's going to be great. I feel like people have hit their limits. They've hit their boiling points. Like, if Matisse Thybulle doesn't shoot the ball, you got to go. Like, maybe this pressure will be a little bit good for some of these guys. What do you guys think about that?
Here's my thing with Thybulle. Now, I tweeted earlier today that I think I'm starting to want to keep him. And it's just because of like the rumors of what trades he has been involved with. Like, if we trade him for Eric Gordon and a first round pick for Eric Gordon, like, I would not do that. I would not include Thybulle in the Eric Gordon deal because our wing depth, what would our wing depth be? Like, Danny Green's going and then Matisse Thybulle, we would have no wings to guard Jaylen Browns of the world, Jason Tatum's. And I don't know. It just is so annoying. Like, I'm looking at the Warriors and I see a bunch of offensive liabilities like Draymond Green. Gary Payton was not being guarded that heavily again by the Celtics. He could hit a 3-point shot, but he wasn't really being guarded. Andrew Wiggins also at times was getting Thybulle treatment because of the gravity of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. And I just see the Warriors being able to overcome that. So I feel like Joel Embiid, if he's that great and James Harden is that great and Maxi's that great, they should be able to hide a player like Thybulle on the court. And it also comes down to the coaching staff being able to hide that player too. So once again, I believe Thybulle being such a liability is another indictment on Doc Rivers. Because there's no reason. I see Thybulle. You can't teach him to stay in front and be a little less aggressive rather than reaching. You can't teach that. Like, there's been no progress in terms of that throughout his career. Like, I just don't understand. What is our development doing with these guys? Because if we got a Gary Payton, there's no way he would see the floor because first off, he's like 5'10". He's 5'10" out there, it looks like. He would not see the floor, and everyone would be like, this guy can't play. Yeah, and everyone's like, yo, let's go get Otto Porter Jr. That dude would be a George Niang on the Sixers. So, like, you could get whoever you want, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of versatility on this roster. Paul Reed, Jaden Springer. I'm a Jaden Springer believer. I think he could be like Jose Alvarado. There's a lot of things you could do, but Doc Rivers is so boring and not innovative where he doesn't get the best out of his players. Pisses me off.
But I question a lot, like, how much power does Doc Rivers have? I guess this ties into what RB said because they're under pressure. Like, the first 2 seasons, Doc and Morey here, it was like, we walked into this Ben Simmons situation. We gave it time to see if we can make Joel Embiid and Ben work, and then we had to trade Ben, and then we had to first I had to get rid of Al Horford. Like, there was excuses there in the first couple of years. Like, I had to figure it out. I had to fix the mess that was here before me, so give me some time. And now it's getting to the point where, like, okay, it's time now. Like, this is it here. Like, this season, if you guys don't figure it out, something has to change. So I think they are both under pressure, and I think Doc Rivers is under pressure. I don't think the organization is as ownership maybe, but I don't think the actual organization is as blind as people make them out to be. There's a big staff behind Doc Rivers that all have opinions. They all have ideas in the meeting rooms. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of pressure and there's a lot of ideas coming. And I think this past season, there was probably a lot of ideas that got shunned by Doc Rivers. It was probably like, nah, we're doing it this way. No, we're doing it this way. No, we're doing it. Might get to the point where they start listening to Dave Yeager and Sam Cassell and Dan Burke and all these guys that are here with basketball knowledge. There's no way this entire staff sits back and Matisse Thybulle doesn't develop a single like left-handed dribble. Like I totally agree. I don't understand it, but I think Doc Rivers, it seems like, was in total control and nobody else had a say, and it might gradually get to a point where they start listening to other people. At least I hope. So I think they are under more pressure now, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, man. Let's get to some of these super chats. Hayden with the $10 donation says, I agree with Romp. At the end of the day, Morey traded a player that was never going to play a game for Philadelphia ever again for a player who obviously has potential to be a beast. Gotta hope he comes back healthy, man. That's the most important thing. Like DJ says, he's got to rest too, man.
I think he disagreed with Romp.
Yeah, I think he disagreed. He agreed with RB, I think. Unless he said, like, but, you know what I'm saying? I don't know.
I mean, it's going to be interesting, man. Like, there's a lot riding on this season. This is a pivotal point for this Sixers franchise, man. I think we can agree with that. CP Tampadelphia with the $10 donation. Appreciate it. Says Tobias' contract hinders us because Harden, Morey botched the Simmons trade. Rivers can't develop. Bassey, Joe Reed, Springer, Milton, Thybulle, and Korkmaz have regressed with him coaching. Have they regressed? I mean, I guess. Maybe they just don't get opportunity. I don't know, man. I thought Shake Milton, I remember predicting Shake Milton would be a 6th man of the year candidate. And where did he go? Furkan was absent for 2 months last season on the bench, healthy scratch. I mean, I don't know, man. And you know, it's funny because I see a lot of people talking about draft stuff, which we're going to get into, by the way. I feel like we're not even talking about the draft because Doc Rivers won't play young guys. And it's a weird situation to be in. But there's even people mocking some centers to the Sixers. I'm like, yo, we have Charles Bassey. Bassey can play, man. Like in a limited role. Even Paul Reed. We got to think for a second. Paul Reed didn't really play for 2 years. He was thrown into a playoff series. Said, yo, go play 10 minutes a night. Like, he's not polished by any means. And I know we get frustrated because we lose games. But it's like, can we get some opportunity? Like, Charles Bassey can play. I want to see him in the rotation. Like, you know, throw him on the Celtics. Do you think he plays a little bit? Maybe. How about
Played in November against Jokic in Denver, had 12 points and 5 blocks, had a nice little Euro step, finger roll finish. Like, I was seeing all kinds of things from him, then you never saw him again. I don't think anything good comes from Doc Rivers. Like, I mean, I don't want to sound like a broken record every time I talk about this team, talking about how just detrimental Doc Rivers is, but his history of coaching is not that impressive. It's actually more negative than positive. There's one ring. He's done. Somebody in the chat just said he's done the least with the most versus a coach that can do the most with the least. Doc is not going to get anything out of a second-round player. He's not going to – it sucks, but it's reality. A lot of, people don't want to hear us be negative, but Doc's not going to create something or be innovative and get more out of guys than – like, you have to just have the best players to win with Doc Rivers coaching. You have to have 4 all-stars that are better than the other team. Romp, I agree. I don't think Gary Payton Jr. would have been doing what he's doing. There's a lot of players that play on other teams, that get an opportunity, that coaching staffs look at and get creative with how they use them, and I don't see it from Doc Rivers. My hope is just that Daryl makes the right moves and Doc gets fired some way, somehow.
I mean, look at the Boston Celtics, for example. Brad Stevens goes from coach to president. He brings some of these role players back. I mean, they have a couple, 2-3 year guys into the league. Peyton Pritchard's, right? Then the Grant Williams, Rob Williams. Like, look how these guys develop. Like Romp was talking about earlier. Not only do we have a talent acquisition problem, we have a talent development issue, man. Like within a couple years, like which of our draft picks outside of a few have really developed into quality players? Like and then we, if we overpay guys in free agency, we can't keep relying on getting lucky, right? You got to find some diamonds in the rough, but you got to get some quality players in here, and they need to develop. I guarantee you Matisse Thybulle and the Celtics would have been knocking down some shots by now.
Probably.
And if he goes somewhere else, will he be
Yeah.
knocking down shots? I don't know.
He looked pretty good playing for Australia. I remember that. He looked pretty good.
If you watch the Warriors, they play everyone in the regular season. They play anyone. They were playing Damian Lee. They were playing Kuminga. They played Moses Moody. They played everyone. Steve Kerr does not care about winning in the regular season. Of course,
Right,
he's going to win because they're the Warriors. But what seed were they? Like the third or second? I forget. But to my point, he played everyone. So when the finals came around or the Western Conference Finals came around, he knew who was ready. And they run a very in-depth defensive game plan where the young guys just don't understand it and they can't play. The Sixers, their defensive game plan is just, let's just guard man to man. Embiid will help us out and we're good. It's just a shame that we got guys like Paul Reed. We got freaking Joel Embiid, who's one of the better defensive players we've ever seen in this era. Especially come playoff time when he actually tries. And we had guys like Ben Simmons. We had guys like Matisse Thybulle. We have Jaden Springer, who was a hell of a defender if you watch his film. And we don't do anything creative defensively. And it's always a problem come playoff time. We should be one of the better defenses, all-time defense, at least one time with Joel Embiid. It's just a shame that we don't do anything creative on that end of the floor.
Yeah,
I think it's good. I think it's good that Joel Embiid's starting to get to a point in his career where he is more vocal. He should have been vocal years ago, but we need more of a LeBron James type of just pseudo narcissism from Joel Embiid now. It's time for you to go in the principal's office, look at him in the face, and say, "You guys can't get it done. Here's what you need to do, or I'm out of here." Demand it. Because you're their prized possession, and not just basketball-wise, marketing-wise. You're Josh Harris's prized possession. They will not let you leave for anything, and that's how LeBron James got every player he ever wanted. He got coaches fired. They're doing anything to keep that guy in this organization. They're doing anything to keep Joel Embiid. So start being more vocal, start pushing things, start saying things in press conferences. It starts making people say, you know what I mean? And he started doing that, and I like it, and I hope he keeps doing it because, I think he's going to get, look, P.J. Tucker. He said P.J. Tucker's name. Boom. You want P.J. Tucker, you got P.J. Tucker. I don't know if we got him yet, but I'm just saying. Maybe Joel will get in there and be like, hey, Doc doesn't have it, man. Get rid of him. I'm sick of this. Maybe they fire him because Joe says so. I hope so.
I agree, man. I agree. Shout out to Hayden with the $5 donation. Says I'm an Isaiah Joe believer as well. Really wish he would get some minutes. I agree. All these guys we have here, just pieces floating around, that you can experiment with. Even if they don't work out, you got to try them. You drafted them for a reason, man. Mr. Roddy with the $5 donation says we have way too many goody two shoes. We have a podcaster, a blogger, bunch of secondary actors. Anybody have tats? No a-holes on the team. Well, that's where a guy like PJ Tucker would come right in. I'm telling you, man. And he's played with James Harden, right? He would back him up. He knows some of his tendencies. Joel Embiid goes out there and he's giving us 50% effort. PJ Tucker would say, yo, get on it, man. He's not going to deal with that stuff. And I think Philly loves guys like that.
Dude, Rudy Poo is absolutely right, man. Too many pretty boys on this team. Too many guys stepping out of their Rolls Royce with their Gucci purse, you know what I mean, and their high flood pants with the loafers, strolling in.
Tobias Harris.
Right. I need some guys with some neck tats and some black Air Force Ones. You know what I mean? That's the kind of guys we need up in here, and that's PJ Tucker.
I just want to say, a lot of people, they say obviously Steve Kerr's had a lot of talent, to work with, and he doesn't have to do much. I'll tell you what, though, even if the top guys on Golden State aren't playing well, you know what Steve Kerr does? He comes out to the press conference and says, we played absolute crap. We have to play better, or he'll break a clipboard, or he'll hand it over to Andre Iguodala, who starts screaming at everyone. we need that. We need that like intuition to do something, to wake these guys up. And I think a PJ Tucker would kind of, assist that, especially on the floor.
And guess what, RB? He didn't play Gary Payton the first 2 games, and it was probably because of injury. But in the press conference, when he did play him and he had a very good game, he was like, I should have been playing him sooner. That was my bad, my mistake. Would Doc Rivers ever do that?
No.
Heck no.
He would say, let's not go on a Peyton victory tour.
It's absolutely like it really reeks of narcissism when you hear the guy say things like that. It really does. Like the I am never wrong, and even when I am wrong, I'm angry about the fact that I'm wrong. It's just I can't stand the guy. I can't stand him at all.
Yeah, it's frustrating, man. It is. Shout out to Duncan with the $5 donation. Says, I don't blame Doc. Harden didn't play well. Do you think there's any way we can get Drummond back? He was scrappy Philly style. I mean, I broke down some of the free agent options. I think Drummond would be great for this team, but with my realistic side coming out, let's be honest. I think Drummond's probably going to get a starting contract somewhere. Maybe he looks at a situation like Philly, where he was embraced. He liked being here, didn't look too hot in the playoffs, and says, all right, I'll test myself for another year and try to earn some more money. But realistically speaking, I think Drummond's going to, go be a starter somewhere.
Yeah, Drummond's a starting center. We got him. Yeah, we got him because he was coming off of a tough time with the Lakers and somebody else in the same season. But he proved in Philly that he's a starting caliber center. He's only 28 years old. I don't see him coming and signing a veteran minimum or anything to be a backup center.
Yeah, and let's not forget at one time when Andre Drummond signed, it was the worst signing ever, according to a lot of the fans. They were like, oh, my gosh, a minimum deal for Andre Drummond. I mean.
I'm still not too impressed with it, to be honest.
With an Andre Drummond minimum deal?
He didn't do much for me.
You're only going to play 10 minutes a game.
But people don't bring up the games where he played like dog shit. Plus we had Bassey and Paul Reed.
Bad defensively, you mean?
No, it's just like he's just kind of
a backup center.
I don't like him.
What backup centers play top notch every game though?
No, he was a great backup center, but like this notion that we need him back is like it pisses me off. Like why? We have Bassey and Paul Reed.
Well, I'll tell you why, because we're not going to play them.
Yeah, he's approaching 30 years old, which is the age you have to be for Doc Rivers to play you. So
we have to play him. We have to play the young guys.
We have to. Maybe you just don't get any centers, and Doc Rivers is forced. He's forced.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe Daryl Morey's like, you know what? If Josh Harris won't budge on this guy because he owes him this much money, then I'm just going to fill the roster with 35-year-old guys who I think can still play, and not give him guys that he shouldn't play, and maybe he's forced to play the right guys. I don't know.
Hey, we'll
He'd
see.
Still find a way to play the wrong guy though.
Jonathan, appreciate the $5 donation. He's just coming at Romp. I get it, man. A lot of people are up in the air, man. A lot of people are frustrated. They want this Sixers team to compete. They want us to perform well. And that starts with tomorrow. What will the Sixers do tomorrow night? Wow, we finally get to talk about the draft. Our solo draft pick, who we've heard for the last month, is probably going to be moved on draft night. It's going to be interesting to see. Yeah, well, we'll talk about a couple prospects. We'll talk about what's being said. Shout out to all 500 up in here, guys. If you want to call into the show, give us some thoughts. 508-924-3784. See it there on the bottom of the screen. Call and give us some thoughts. What do you think about PJ Tucker, the draft? Will we make a move tomorrow night? Eric Gordon. I actually like Eric Gordon. I think he would be solid for this team, but I do get, paying him $20 million a year isn't ideal. But
people want every move to be a superstar. Like it's just you have to.
I think people forgot about Eric Gordon. I think he can still actually like knock down some shots, and he's can at least put it on the floor. I think he's better than anything we have off the bench. But I do get people that don't want to pay him $20 million for the next 2 years.
Is it better than Georges Niang for Furkan Korkmaz?
I think Eric Gordon would be the best player on this bench. My opinion.
Boom.
I wouldn't give up Thybulle in that deal, though. It would have to be, for me, it would have to be Danny Green, Furk, and Jaden Springer and a first-round pick. And I would want a pick back. I would want their 32nd pick because I feel like if we give up all that, give us a pick at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rob, do you think? Go ahead, RB.
Go ahead.
Do you think? See, I question how much trade value Thybulle has, but then the way that you put it, like, do you think other franchises actually value him pretty highly?
Yeah, I think. I think we could get something for that pick by just attaching Danny Green. Like, I truly believe we could get Terrence Ross by just attaching our pick, because the Magic, they're not going to use Terrence Ross. He's on an expiring deal, so he's pretty much nothing to them. And you could just waive Danny Green, just swap picks. So now we get their 35th pick, and then they get our 23rd pick or whatever it is, and then we get Terrence Ross. Like, or maybe add someone else to intrigue them more. But, like, I don't think we have to give up so much. The only reason I don't want Eric Gordon is because I feel like we have to do so much to match his salary.
Mm-hmm.
And they might be like, the Rockets might be, petty, and they might be like, yo, add Thybulle in there, or I'm not doing it. And then we would add Thybulle in a pick. Plus, we're giving up more players. I'm like, no, give us a pick at least, or something like that. So I just don't want to add Thybulle in the Eric Gordon deal, because I feel like we could probably get Cam Reddish for Thybulle. Thybulle and a pick, Cam Reddish, something. We could do a lot with Thybulle and a pick, because we've seen what picks are getting. I mean, a pick just got Jeremy Grant. A pick just got Christian Wood. So I don't know. I think there's better options out there than Eric Gordon. I wouldn't be mad at Eric Gordon, but I have to see the deal first.
Yeah, I respect that. And I do think Thybulle holds a little more weight than a lot of people think, especially because we're low on him. But it'll be interesting to see. We're going to talk about that and what will happen tomorrow night. We'll give our predictions. Let's go to the phone lines real quick. Coming in from the 609. 609, tap it in. What's going on? 609 going once. Going twice.
Hey.
Yo, what's going on?
I'm excited for the off season.
Shane, what's up, man?
Hey.
I was excited to hear Shane. All right, go ahead, Shane. Sorry.
I'm just excited for the off season because, like, I wouldn't mind having Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker because we need veteran players. I would be okay with getting Bradley Beal, but I think realistically he's going to probably go somewhere else, and we're not going to get Beal. So if we can just get Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker realistically, I think the team would be fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's what Daryl Morey's trying to do. I think he's trying to, upgrade, get us some more experience, get us some guys he's familiar with, especially, when you look at some of these free agents. I don't know if he'll get both of them, but I'm almost starting to think the Tucker deal is almost done. And I think they're just waiting until it can become official, even though, like, what is tampering anymore? I mean, we're coming out with exact figures on this contract. It's wild to me, but I would say it's almost done. But
the fines aren't enough anyway. Hey, they were caught tampering $50,000. Josh Harris is like, okay, check my couch. I think I got $50,000 maybe under the cushions. Like, what?
But yeah, man, I don't know. I think Daryl Morey is just trying to upgrade this team. I think there are a lot of disposable parts. And I think he's going to try to do what he can.
I think it's pretty
what we have.
I think it's pretty simple. I don't actually think we need that much. I think Tobias Harris needs to go. I think Matisse Thybulle doesn't fit, but I don't think we need a big-time splash. What we need is to hope and pray that Joel Embiid doesn't break his face in the first round and doesn't tear his thumb off. And, like, that's literally it. Like, I think people think this team was a lot worse than it was because Joel Embiid was injured. We're done if he's injured. It is what it is. It's like the Patriots, Tom Brady tears his ACL. Are they going into the offseason like, oh, my God, we need to land a superstar? No, you need Tom Brady to be healthy. That's what you need. That's how I see it.
I think we need a pick, though. I really believe we need to get a pick to get a young wing who can I think there's a bunch of young wings that could produce right away. I know Doc wouldn't play him, but I don't care. I'm not putting that into what I'm saying. I know he's not going to play him, but he kind of has to play him because what is our wing depth? We're not going to have Danny Green. So if you draft a wing and he's athletic and a smart player who played 4 years in college and can play defense, if he can play defense, I think Doc may play him because he has played Thybulle, and Thybulle, he sucks at offense. But I think the reason he didn't play Maxey is because Maxey was kind of a wild card on defense. And same with Paul Reed. He's just a weird player. So I think if you get a 4-year college player who's a little more mature than the usual draft pick at the wing position, I think Doc might play him. And I think we need to do that, or we have to find an undrafted player. We have to, because the wing depth is just not there, and we don't have the cap space to do it.
Who do you think would come out of college that Doc Rivers would actually play?
I think undrafted-wise, Wendell Moore, I think he would play. And that's about it. I think Christian Braun, he might play.
What about the big lefty, EJ Liddell?
Oh, yeah, he would play him too. I mean, you would kind of have to. He's NBA ready. But undrafted, I think he would also play Tyrese Martin from UConn. He's going to be undrafted, in my opinion, for some odd reason. He's 6'8". He has like a 6'10" wingspan. Very smart player. The only weakness in his game is his offensive creation. And the reason why he's going undrafted is because he's 23 years old already. So I think that's the reason why he's going undrafted. Plus, he doesn't really have a high ceiling. He's just going to be a role player, but that's what we need. So I think we could find an undrafted player, see how they do in the summer league. And because, I mean, you're putting them next to James Harden and Joel Embiid. They don't have to be that good to be effective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, if Doc won't play late second rounds, he's not playing an undrafted guy.
Yeah, but we have to find that guy, DJ, because we don't have
Doc
cap
Rivers,
space.
I think maybe Doc Rivers is so anti-intuitive when it comes to basketball that he just looks at, oh, this guy was a first-round pick, I'm gonna play him, and he's like, this guy was a late second-round pick, he sucks. And you're like, yeah, but he's averaging 40 points and 27 rebounds in the G League and G League MVP. He's dominating. Last time you were forced to play him, he blocked freaking this guy 5 times. And look at this highlight. Late second-round pick, he sucks. So maybe he just doesn't. Maybe if we draft someone at 23, you can like, Doc, look, first-round pick, play this guy. So I don't know. Maybe that's it.
Also, like, remember we were all complaining, athleticism, speed. Eric Gordon and PJ Tucker, no offense to them, they're not athletic and speedy. So we still did not address our biggest need with and those are going to be, if we do those moves, like those are going to be the moves. Those are going to be the main moves. Unless you trade Tobias Harris, which please do. Yeah. Because I could rant about him, but I don't want to offend the Tobias stance. But yeah.
So in terms of the draft tomorrow night, I would say there's a good chance we trade this pick. Here's actually a quote from Woj yesterday on ESPN. He was kind of joking around, but he said, if you're a GM in the NBA and Daryl Morey hasn't called and offered you the 23rd and Thybulle for someone on your roster, you probably have your phone shut off. I don't know if there's a disconnect with Thybulle in the franchise or if they're just sick of it. Personally, I put out on Twitter earlier, I think this could be a smokescreen. I think we could be aggressively trying to move Danny Green, get that contract out of here, so you don't have to deal with it. But I think this pick gets moved. Now, if we are to stay in our spot, there's a couple guys I like, Jalen Williams. We seem to be zoning in here on Jaden Hardy. If you guys have kept up with him, he didn't put up good shooting percentages, but similar to Maxey, he shot the free throw well. He was 30 for 34. Showed the potential, right? He was going up against better G League competition. Maybe he could be, a future backcourt with Tyrese Maxey. They said they had everybody present at his workout. I don't know. I feel like it's a smokescreen though. As bad as I want to keep the pick, as bad as I would love to have a guy who could finally come in and contribute right away, I just feel that we're going to move the pick. Maybe we move back, right?
That's the move.
People are talking about, this year. Let's not forget we don't have a lot of draft capital going forward, right? We don't even have a first round pick next year because the Nets are taking it. So, we're in a sticky situation here, especially if some of these guys don't work out. But what is your guys', I'd say, prediction as to what happens with the pick? And do you think Thybulle gets attached to it? Do you think Danny Green gets attached to it? Could somehow he pull off a Tobias Harris trade, right? There's been rumors, they've been talking about Malcolm Brogdon now being available. What is your guys' gauge level here on what happens? Because personally, I think it'll get traded, but I'm actually leaning more towards Danny Green being the one on the go. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would agree. I think I don't think seeing how Morey operates, I don't see him attaching Thybulle unless it's like a really good value back to that pick. I think Danny Green and Furkan are more of the move for Daryl Morey, and I think that's a good move. I think we trade back and get a player. That's what I want. I want to trade for someone, but also get a player so we end up with two players. But I don't think Thybulle's going tomorrow. And it's kind of funny how like this is being said, but at the trade deadline, Thybulle was untouchable. So that's pretty funny.
That's what I don't understand. And people are out here saying that we're going to essentially salary dump a guy like Thybulle, right? Like it doesn't make sense. This guy was untouchable 5 months ago. Okay. We're not trading him for nothing. You have to get something in return. Maybe you get a nice little wing, but I just don't view that as being right now. His trade value's at the lowest it's been. He was essentially gone. He couldn't play in a playoff series on the road. I mean, it's more likely that Danny Green goes with the pick, but I'm with Romp. Like if there's a quality player here, it's unfortunate because we get this feeling that we're not going to play him, but you have to get something in return or a win now type of player. Maybe a clear space for PJ Tucker. I don't know, but I view it more as Danny Green.
I think Daryl Morey is 100% trading this pick. I don't even think Daryl Morey's looking at a draft board. I don't think he's watched any college tape on any of these players. He's not interested in drafting a kid whatsoever. He's going to do everything he can to use this because he's like, listen, James is coming back. Maybe he's only good for 2 or 3 more years. Maybe Joel's only good for 2 or 3 more years. He's not. I don't think he's drafting a young kid. He did draft Jaden Springer, so if he gets to a point where it gets to the trade, it gets to the draft, and he absolutely doesn't get anything offered, then maybe he's forced to draft somebody. But I think he's going to try everything he possibly can to use this pick to make something else happen. I don't see. He didn't even know who Tyrese Halliburton was. He called these guys random players, so I don't think he knows anybody in college right now. I think he's just trying to move pieces to get what he wants. I think Thybulle's going to be that just because Thybulle has the trade value that he has. Other teams value him the way that they value him. They think that he can turn their defense into something amazing. And, the player that we just talked about that shot 27% from 3 in college, people are saying no because of that. Tyrese Maxey shot 29% at Kentucky. People were yelling no. It's hard to tell. The draft is always a crapshoot. You can draft somebody at number 1 and 10 years later, they're like, oh, my God, Tracy McGrady was right there at number 7. Like, yeah, I mean, Steph Curry wasn't the number 1 overall pick. Like, the draft is a guessing game. It always will be. You got to be lucky. The Philadelphia sports franchises in general are not lucky. But I definitely think he's going to trade this pick, and I think Matisse Thybulle is going to get traded just because other teams value him as high as they do. And they might be overvaluing him based on what we've seen from him. So maybe players develop because they just develop. They put in the offseason work and they develop. Maybe some players don't develop because they just don't. I don't know if we can blame it all on a coaching staff. I have no idea. I just think what I see from Tyrese Maxey, I don't give the Sixers staff credit for that. So maybe Matisse Thybulle's just no good at basketball, man. Maybe he was hyped his whole life because he's 6'8" and can jump through the roof and was blocking every kid on the court his whole life, and they just thought he was a defensive phenomenon, and he is, or has the potential to be. But it's the NBA. You gotta be able to play on the offensive side of the ball. And what I saw in the playoffs, I'm like, yikes, man. I don't know. I don't see offense developing from Matisse Thybulle. I don't, and I hope they trade him because he has value.
I think we get really fixated on, praising guys in what they're good at here. And I feel like we've done that with a lot of players. And then when it comes time where, they need to develop other parts of the game, I feel like they think, okay, well, I'm so good at this, right? These fans love me doing this. We love Matisse Thybulle's defensive instincts. But now you got to shoot the ball, man. Same thing with Ben Simmons. And some guys just handle it differently. But that's also on the coaches, man. Like, you have to make your guys into well-rounded players. Maybe pressure does work, right? We pressured Tobias Harris. He tried to improve his game a little bit. Like, I don't know. We need to take a different approach, man. And speaking back on Jaden Springer, I think it's funny. Like in the post season press conference, the last one, they asked Doc Rivers about Jaden Springer, and he said, how old is he? 18, 19? Like he didn't even really know how old Jaden Springer was. And I guess my question to you guys, because I've been thinking about this, is what if we don't even play Jaden Springer this year? What if he just spends another year in the G League? You talk about Daryl Morey last year. He doesn't usually keep first-round picks. Remember, he came to the press conference half. It looked like he just woke up from a nap. Like,
it was like 5:30 in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know. The development system, it's all rough, man. But you got to if you pick a guy, you got to give him a chance, man. And I just think a couple years ago we had a stellar draft. Maxey, Isaiah Joe, Paul Reed. Give these guys an opportunity, man. Let them go out and earn some minutes.
Yeah, you want a player that would not see the floor is Jaden Hardy. Perfect example of a player Doc Rivers would not play. So that's why I don't want Jaden Hardy. I think he's going to be probably one of the steals, to be honest, because a lot of people are sleeping on him. His offensive game is beautiful, but he's going to take like 5 to 7 years to develop to be like a stud. So we should stay away from those players because we're in win now mode. That's why I didn't like the Jaden Springer pick last year because we were in win now mode. We could have got a Herb Jones who played playoff minutes on the New Orleans Pelicans guarding Devin Booker. We could have got someone, but Daryl Morey, I guess, really saw something in Jaden Springer, and I think he could definitely be a rotational player. I'm not saying 15 minutes a night in the playoffs, but with that defense he has, I mean, it's something that we don't have at the guard position. So he brings an aspect to the game that we don't have on the roster. So it's like you can use him. You can use him and play him because he's going to full court pressure guys the whole game because he's a rookie trying to make a name for himself. So he's going to come in and hustle. Just play him in the regular season. You don't have to play him in the playoffs, but just give him a chance, see what you got. And then maybe, we come across like, I don't know, we're playing like Chris Paul, and then you could put Jaden Springer on Chris Paul, just full court press him and tire him out.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think he can create his own shot a little bit on the offensive side, and he has he's developed a decent 3-point shot just from some of the stuff that I saw from him in the G League this year and some of the minutes that he got, in those games where we were already blown out. Jaden Springer might be Matisse Thybulle with offense. So, I mean, yeah, like the way that our bench looked, there was no reason for him to not. There was no reason for a lot of these guys not to be rotational pieces. I mean, but again, we're going to continue to circle back to Doc Rivers. It just is what it is. And this is it for me with Doc Rivers. I was gonna go on an entire fire Doc Rivers campaign this offseason, but I was talked into let's give him. This is it. He's on the hot seat. This is the year. If it goes like this next season, I'm gonna lead a fire Doc Rivers parade around Philly, and I mean it's gonna be obnoxious. Seriously, I'm gonna make him want to leave Philly. He won't even have to get fired.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. 500 in here. Once again, hit that like button wherever you're watching. Be sure to subscribe wherever you're watching as well, man. We're consistently covering this team. We'll be breaking everything down that you need to know. Call into the show, man. Come on, we need some thoughts. Somebody has to bring the fire, man. Tell us what's going to happen tomorrow. Give us some thoughts on PJ Tucker. Whatever else is on your mind. Maybe you're a frustrated Sixers fan. Call into the show, man. We got a dual stream running here. We got people watching from everywhere. So give us some thoughts, man. The number's down below on the screen. We got CP with a $2 donation. He says, any interest in Kyle Anderson? I would pass on him. I would pass.
Slow-mo.
Yeah,
Have you seen him shoot the ball? Oh my God, that guy has the worst jump shot I've ever seen. It's like 1A and 1B, Joakim Noah and Kyle Anderson.
He's not that. I mean, if it was like $1 million minimum deal, I wouldn't mind him. He's actually a pretty good defender, low key.
Yeah,
but not something I want.
I don't know if he would go over well with Philly fans, man, with that jump shot. I don't know. Time Cop with the $5 donation, he says we should trade Thybulle because he'll document being traded on YouTube and it'll be good content.
Absolutely, 100%.
Trade vlog. But hey, we got somebody on the line. Let's go to Kashila. Kashila on the phone line. What's going on? How you doing?
What's up, guys? First off, I want to say, long-time listener of all three of you guys. I'm a big fan. My take is about the 23 pick. So I understand, like, I've heard a lot of people talking about the number 23 pick, trading it away and all that. And I understand. I stand with, like, DJ Eastwood. I've heard him say this, like, twice now in these live streams. If this whole thing with Embiid goes belly up, goes up in flames, I agree, we'll at least have Tyrese Maxey. But at the same time, I believe with this pick, two things, you can find good players in that spot. I see three. I see Wendell Moore. I see Dalen Terry, and I see Tari Easton. I think those are guys who can support this team almost immediately. All three of them have defensive prowess, and they have good offensive upside. But with that being said, I do understand trading that pick away because we have almost no draft capital in future seasons. So I could see Daryl Morey trading the pick, trying to get a second rounder, or at least like next year, a second rounder or a third rounder, just something to supplement the team so we have something in our back pocket. So that's my take. I think there are players we can get at 23, but I understand trading it away.
Yeah, I think you the guys you mentioned are definitely good pieces. I don't know if they'll be available, at that point, but I mean, like I said, we just need talent, right? We need to get better. I think there's multiple ways you could go about it. I think we're going to try to hit a leverage play going for the future and trying to make this team better. But maybe these guys disagree with me.
Yeah, people in the chat are saying if Tari Eason falls, and I agree with that, but I don't think he's going to fall. He's just too good of NBA size and skill to fall down to 23. I think even if for whatever reason people had him falling in the draft or something like that, I don't see people passing on him. If he would, I'd be there for it. But again, does Doc Rivers even know who that is, and would he play him?
Would you guys be interested? Because the Rockets came out and said they don't want any more picks, but they might be interested in a swapping. So say we put Thybulle in the deal, make it more enticing, and then we add our 23rd pick. You think they would be willing to add Eric Gordon and the 17th pick? And then we could get Eric Gordon and Abaji from Kansas, because I think that's his range. You think that would be possible, or would the Rockets say heck no to that?
I don't think they would accept that. I think the Rockets are intent on trying to get a first rounder and more. And I don't know it, but in terms of Akbaji, he's one of my favorite players in this draft. I mean, if there's a way you could get him, absolutely. I don't know. I don't see the Rockets taking that though.
I feel you.
267, you still on the line?
Yep, I'm still here. I will say all the three, my favorite one is Dalen Terry, because one thing I've seen with him and I love is that he has a work ethic like Tyrese Maxey. It rivals Tyrese's. And this has been my mindset since the whole Ben Simmons situation. We need more guys who will actually show that they not only want to make it to the league and just use it as to be a celebrity, but they actually get to the league and want to be better from day one. Mm-hmm. Like Tyrese says, he likes to get 1% better every day. And I believe putting more people on this team like that and that share that mentality will really help this team in the long run. Yes, we need dogs. Yes, we need guys like PJ Tucker. But I believe we need guys who also should have a high work ethic and want to be better and not just want to be in the league and have a spot.
Yeah, I agree, man. Hey, we really appreciate the call, man. Great insight.
Great call.
Thank you, man.
No problem. Appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Appreciate it, man. That's a good point, man, that he brings up. I was talking about this yesterday. I think that one thing I evaluate, because like DJ said, like you can have guys that flop. You got sleepers late in the first round. One thing I always look at is a guy's character, right? What does he talk like in his pre-draft interviews, right? Does he love the game? Is he going to be out there? I feel like we got so, just pleasantly just surprised and just welcomed with Tyrese Maxey. Like, we're seeing training videos of this kid. We know it's actually going to translate to the game. This kid went to the, third best 3-point shooter in the league in 1 year. Like, and he's only 21. Like, the sky's the limit. And I think we really need to put an emphasis on that. So I agree with the caller. We can't have any more guys, that we have questions about. You can't look at their weaknesses on their draft report and say, oh, well, has trouble leading, has trouble,
Maxi's the kind of kid that, NBA teams probably have to call him and be like, take a week off, man. Stop.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Take a break. Stop.
Yeah.
We've had the Ben Simmons of the world who buys a house and doesn't even have a basketball hoop in the driveway. Tyrese Maxey is the exact opposite. That kid just thinks, eats, and sleeps basketball. And that's the kind of players you look for, and that should be what we're looking for. We should be looking for a mindset type of thing at 23 versus, potential, or this kid is 6'7", 240, so maybe we can turn him into a basketball player. Like, I'm over that kind of stuff now. I agree with you on the mindset thing, man. And we got lucky that Tyrese Maxey fell the way that he did. And I don't even know what to expect in year 3 because he blew me away. Changing his jump shot form, people don't talk about that enough. Like, the ball is higher when he releases it. It's hardly possible for players to change their jump shot form. Lonzo Ball did it too. It impresses me because you did something one way your whole life and then you got to try to change it. So who knows what he could do with another offseason, man. I'm hyped for that from Tyrese Maxey. And, that's what we should look for in players. It has to be a mindset thing. You don't build culture randomly. Build it from the ground up.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We'll probably be on for a little bit longer. So if you want to call in, I see a lot of people, man, in the chat. A lot of people giving their thoughts. We appreciate it. A lot of people saying that we don't know what we're talking about. We're wrong. People going
Thanks for the view.
Hey, man, call into the show. Give us some thoughts, man. Give us some thoughts, man. What do you think about tomorrow night? How about a question for you guys, man? Is there anything you could see happening tomorrow night that may be an underrated move or maybe an out of the blue type of move? Or do you think we just trade Danny Green or Matisse Thybulle? What do you guys think? Is there a possibility of a Tobias trade or just something to throw us off? What do you guys think?
Can I throw out a Tobias trade that I've been thinking about?
Let's hear it.
So I think the Kings are a team. You could sit them down and you could be like, yo, Harrison Barnes is on a 1-year deal. You don't really need him. You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't think this would even involve Tobias Harris. I forgot. But so Harrison Barnes is on a 1-year deal. Justin Holiday is also there. And watching him last year with the Kings, you could tell they really didn't have a role. He didn't have a role. He seemed kind of out there. And then Terrence Davis, another bucket getter, on a 1-year deal. So they're all expiring, and they all don't seem to be a part of the future plan for the Kings. So I sit them down, and I'm being like, they're not a part of your future. So how about you take on Danny Green, who you could just waive, whatever, and we'll give you Matisse Thybulle, we'll give you Furkan, and then we'll give you a 23rd pick as well. So you can not only have the 4th pick, but you could also have the 23rd pick. And then you get Matisse Thybulle, who could be a very good defensive player next to De'Aaron Fox. Do you think that would entice them enough? And then if you got that done, it takes pressure off of you to trade Tobias Harris because you got a replacement for Tobias Harris. You got Harrison Barnes. So you could basically just trade Tobias for, anything at that point. Does that make sense?
What is the Kings' plan, though?
They want to compete.
They traded a 21-year-old future. They traded a 21-year-old prospect point guard for Sabonis.
And I have a feeling the Kings are going to trade pick number 4 tomorrow night. They have Jaden Ivey sitting right in their hands. One of the most enticing prospects in this draft. We kind of know what the big 3 or the top 3 are probably going to be. Would the Kings really pass up that opportunity to draft Jaden Ivey? I could see it being a Kings thing. And I just don't know what their plan is, like you said. But I think anything would entice the Kings at this point. I wouldn't be mad at it.
A thing that I could see happening that is unexpected is a 3-team trade involving Tobias Harris, Matisse Thybulle, and the number 23 pick. Bringing back, I didn't think about it enough to know teams yet. I'm going to go Chicago. they've been, some of their beat reporters have been talking high on Matisse Thybulle and what they need defensively. Well, please, where do I sign? So Kobe White maybe from Chicago or some other players. I don't know. I didn't think about it enough, but a 3-team trade could smack us in the face right when what's his name walks out with the announcement. The hell's his name?
Adam Silver.
Yeah, that guy.
I think my bold take would be a Tobias trade involving the Pacers, involving Malcolm Brogdon in some sorts. A lot of noise around the Pacers this week. Maybe they're trying to get a different fit in there. They're probably going to send off Miles Turner eventually. So I don't know, man. It'd be interesting.
Denver's high on Matisse Thybulle too. Denver also is in this we need a football player to anchor our defense. So might be able to sell him high to Denver too.
I like Barton, man. I like him. 1-year deal. 1-year deal, man.
Barton, 29 years old, I think.
He's always injured. He's weird.
Hey, you'd be a little more productive in games.
I want weird players.
I wouldn't give up Thybulle and a pick for him. Now Bogdanovich, like you were saying, your other stream, Eastwood, I would love Bogdanovich because he's a wing. Will Barton's kind of small, too skinny for my liking. Just a weird player.
The Hawks are on a fire sale too, man. Yeah, Bogdanovich. You're right. When I look at Thybulle in the 23 pick, it sounds like a lot, and then you look at guys that are like career bench players. And you're like, yeah, we want to anchor, we want to improve our bench, but do we want to give up that much for one guy like that? So Bogdanovich, I think I would be totally comfortable giving up Thybulle in 23 for. 29 years old, 39% 3-point shooter on 7.5 attempts per game. Oh my goodness.
Interesting, man. Interesting. We'll take a few more final calls and we'll hop out of here. Let's go to my guy, the OG, Rick Bennett. Rick, what's going on? Rick going once.
What's going on? I had to take my phone off of speaker.
What's up, Rick? How you doing, man?
Doing pretty good. How's everybody doing? I'm a
fantastic
fan of Romp and Run It Back.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
Now, I do have a couple things on the agenda, if that's okay.
Yep.
Number one, I think it's going to be RB's birthday soon, so everybody shout out RB for his birthday. I forget when it is. I know it's soon.
It's on Monday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, RB.
Thank you. Thank you.
Number two, as Romp would say a lot, Doc is trash.
Quoting the great.
Nobody's disagreeing with that.
Great Romp.
Yeah.
Nobody's disagreeing with that.
And the reason why I say that is everything hinges around how Doc coaches. We can have let me stop for a second. Do we just have one pick in the whole draft? That's it?
Yep. Just pick 23.
Holy bleep.
So we could trade that and have no draft at all. We'll just turn this. If we're streaming the draft, we just shut it off. All right, we're done.
Yeah, one trade and we're good.
I didn't realize that. I did not realize that until now. We just have one pick, and now I understand why you're having this podcast right now. Now, going back to Doc is, I wanted him gone at the end of the season. I want him gone, out. OWUT, out. And my thing is, maybe I'm being a negative fan, but I think we could be in the bottom seeds, like 8, 9, 10 years of Doc this year.
Ooh.
That'd be a good way to get him out of here. That'd be a great way to get him out of here.
And if he continues to have his news conferences where he says, I'm wrong, I'm right, and everybody else is wrong, then the media should go after him.
Oh, they will. They will go after him.
That's the thing about it. I said just this last season, I don't think he wants to be in Philly because he doesn't seem like he likes to be here. He hates the media. Every fan in the city hates the guy. And another year of him doing the same thing and getting the same result, it's the pressure's just, this is the wrong city, man. Like, they're going to start to show up to games with Fire Doc Rivers signs hanging from the banners. Like, it's going to get bad, you know. So if they won't fire him, maybe we can run him out of town.
And I think, and if I'm wrong, the Sixers may be at least 10 games above 500 this season. That's it.
Mm.
And if I'm wrong, I may have to sing a shared song during the stream. So I'm going to be bold about that.
Hey, Rick, I hope you are wrong, Rick, because if you're anywhere near right, man, I mean, then we don't have a first-round pick next year. Brooklyn benefits from it. And then where do we go? I mean, we got a couple seconds next year, but then it's going to be like a fire sale, man, a couple years. So I hope not.
Hey, at least we'll be back to having lottery parties and things like that.
Could you imagine going through a 20-win team covering this team? Oh, man.
Before I go, my hot take is James Harden and Joel Embiid will coach. They'll say, Doc, sit the F down. We will do what.
I like it, man. I
thought he was going to say they will coach the All-Star team or something.
I love it, man. I love
They will
it.
coach a celebrity softball game.
Could you imagine, man? Hey, gotta have the trust your players. Rick, shout out to you. Let's go rapid fire. We have Faust on the line. What's going on, man?
Yo, what's going on? Romp, DJ Eastwood.
So,
man?
So if we get PJ Tucker tomorrow and we use our pick, we're getting a 37-year-old, and then we're not going to have another first-round pick till 2027. Am I right?
No, he's an unrestricted free agent if you opted out.
We'd have to ride with a $150 million Harden contract for 3 years. We'd have to deal with Embiid for 3 years, who, if we don't make it to the finals, he might want out at that point. Then what do we do?
He can't want out. I mean, he's got, 3-4 years left on a contract. But I get what you're saying. You know, the frustration mounting for sure.
Yeah, the frustration mounts. We're dealing with PJ Tucker and Harden, who played together already. They didn't do much. PJ Tucker recently with Miami, they didn't do much. It was all Jimmy Butler, you know? So it's like, what are we really doing? I think we have to go out, like Rom said, and get a young guy, because if we don't get young core now, what are we going to have for the future? We're only going to have Maxey, and if we have Bassie or any of the other young guys like Isaiah Joe, unless we trade them. I don't know, man. I would like to go out and get a young guy. I don't know about PJ Tucker, but we do need somebody grindy, but I want to go out and get a young guy like Karis LeVert, or Wiggins would have been perfect, man, but he's locked up now. So,
yeah,
that's it, man.
Hey, man. All right, good take. Appreciate it. I got to disagree a little bit, because I feel like, at least where I view this team at, like, you can go young, but can you really go young when you have, 3 guys with 30 million plus contracts? And then you're going to have to pay Tyrese Maxey. Personally, I feel like it's like a 2 to 3 year window. You got to go in right now. You got to get pieces to try to win. And if you don't, you might have to blow it up. But I don't know, man. It's kind of a hard predicament to try to do both at once, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't come in with the mindset of what are we going to do 4 years from now? Like, you just can't do that. The we'll cross that bridge when we get to it thing, or fall off the bridge, or drown under the bridge, whatever it is. That's what's going to happen in 4 years. We can't have that mindset. Here's the reality. This is going over a cliff no matter what in 4 or 5 years. So try to win now and fall off the cliff, or draft some younger guys and try to have some longevity and still kind of be halfway falling off. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you want to win something, or do you want to be the 2011 Sixers that are going to be just good enough to make the playoffs, never good enough to get back to the top of never bad enough to get back to the top of the draft?
Yeah.
Like, it has to be one extreme or the next. And if it fails and in 4 years we're back in lottery mode, I'm fine with that, as long as we're bad enough to get to the top of the draft. That's my thing. I don't want to ever be mediocre ever again. I don't.
Here's the thing about picks. We shouldn't even be worried about picks. That's the thing, because I want to keep this year's pick or at least have one pick this year. But the thing is, if this fails, we got to go all out. So give up all the assets. And then once this fails, we can just give up Joel Embiid and get a boatload of picks in return in like 4 years if this fails. So ultimately, we have a way out to get more picks. Joel Embiid. So we shouldn't be worried about picks because at the end of the day, if this fails, we have Joel Embiid. So we should pretty much give up every pick to try to get as much help as possible because eventually, probably 2 years down the road, 3, if we keep failing, I mean, I think both sides are going to come to an agreement and be like, yeah, Joel, I think it's best for you to go, and I think it would be best for you. So,
yeah.
How do you guys feel? How do you guys feel about part owners selling their stakes in the team? Because this is what billionaires do. They watch the market, right? And when things are in the green and trending up, they're all in. When things start to plateau and potentially in 5 years be on the downside, they're like sell. So people started selling already. You know what I mean? Michael Rubin, Scott O'Neal got out last year. The Josh Harris sold a 5% stake to some other rich person. I don't know the details of that. I'm just saying, like, what do you guys think of that? Do you think, like, the owners are all starting to say, like, maybe this is going to start to go downward in 3 or 4 years. Maybe I should get out now.
I think with Rubin, it was more of like a conflict of interest, especially since his Fanatics company is just so, just incredibly good and just continuing to rise. I mean, you make a good point though, right? Like, these guys are about business, right? They want to increase their wealth. Hey, who knows? I don't know, man. I would still buy in on the Sixers right now, at least for a couple years. Give it one more chance. You have a generational great in Joel Embiid. You try to make it happen. If not, well, you might lose some of your value. But I don't think we're done by any means. I think we got a couple chances at this.
I'm ready to see something happen, man.
Hey, I agree. CP with the $2 donation says Tobias and Thybulle for Collins and Bogdanovich. Could not see the Hawks doing that. In my opinion.
That's the thing with every Tobias trade. It's not going to work out unless you want to give him to like the Cavs maybe or I don't know. You got to trade a bad contract for a bad contract, in my opinion, to get off of him.
I agree. I think Morey's shopping him. I think he's, one by one trying to get these guys going. And I think he understands what we need to do, but it's still, a little while away. But
I would love to be able to hear the phone calls. I would love to be able to hear the phone calls, like just how probably blunt Daryl Morey is on the phone. You know what I mean? He's probably like, probably like, listen, man, I understand he's overpaid. I understand he's a 17-point per game player, but listen, we'll attach a first-round pick or something.
Well, you know what's funny about that? Like the crazy thing that I think about is he probably has Elton Brand right there in the room with him. So Elton's thinking like, my gosh, like what did I do? It's just kind of funny to me. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. We'll go one more call. We got Ann coming in. Shout out to all the callers, man, bringing the insight. Let's go finish us off. Ann, what's going on the line?
Hey, what up?
Hey, what's going on?
Nothing, man. I was just listening to the show. I just want to say what's up, Triple R. I'm from South Philly, so we make all the names short.
Love it. But
dope. I like it.
Well, that's dope.
So I just want to say, as far as the work ethic goes, I was listening to the last caller talking about like the young guys and stuff like that. To me, it's kind of pointless for us to have a young core because Doc is I like old veterans over young core type of guys. Like to me, it seems like he always gives the young core like trouble and trust, and I don't think our young core will be able to develop under Doc. I mean, Tyrese Maxey is a different type of talent because he's like an aggressive young guy that really cares for his work ethic and he's aggressive. And it's like Doc, I don't think our young core is going to get a chance to shine as much as I want them to. So when it comes to that, I'm out on that. But the whole get rid of Doc thing, I mean, it's like, what will other players look at our organization as if we just keep switching coaches? It's just going to look like, it's kind of unstable. Yeah, I want to get rid of them too, but it's like we got to start to have a consistent structure so our play can be better and consistent. Because like the players just keep getting under different coaches. It's like the play is going to be terrible. Like it's like James Harden is already struggling with trying to get into Doc's rhythm, and I kind of see what Paul George is talking about now. Now that I've seen how everything unfolded at the end of the season, and my second thing about the Tyrese Maxey video, I'm glad that his training videos is bringing me back because at the end of the season I was about like 2 or 3 sections away from James Harden, and that shit pissed me off. I did not want to see his fucking ass there in the fucking club. So I literally, like, it ruined my night because I was just like, I was having fun. We got a couple bottles and everything, and I was just like, I don't want to fucking be chilling a couple seats away from this motherfucker. He should be in the mindset, fuck the club, I want to work out. I mean, what do y'all think?
Well, I'm thinking I'm glad I wasn't there as well. I probably would have been just pissed off out of my mind. But I mean, I think you make a valid point about like continuity, keeping some of the guys together. And that's what I think we're trying to do. I think we're trying to keep a little bit of a stable core and upgrade around them. But yeah, it is nice to see Maxey hitting some shots and knowing it'll actually translate, not just off-season videos.
Mm-hmm. Did you say he was in the same club as James Harden? Is that what you said?
I thought he said he was at the game.
Yeah, he was out in Noto in Philly.
Oh, you were in the same club as James Harden, and he was mad that James was partying. You know what I would have done? I would have walked up to him and told him I can beat him one-on-one just to piss him off, and then maybe he would play me in the parking lot, and I could get it on video.
Was this after Game 6 or what?
They had about 3 or 4 security guards, but he hang with the rappers, which I don't like, because
sure
you worried about something else than what we want you to be focused on. Like, cause us Philly guys, like, show us your hard work, and we'll respect you. If like we didn't want you to come here to be hanging out with the rap scene, like that ain't what we paid you for. Like, ball out and then do that. Don't perform how you perform and then come and hang out with us like that. No, we don't do that here. We're the same people that kicked Ben Simmons out of David's Chinese store down on Vine Street. Like,
they booed. He was walking out of a coffee shop and they booed him all the way back to the bus.
Yeah, man. I'm like, it was just hard for me because, like, we diehard fans, and if you give us your all, we respect you. But when that performance, man, it made me sick to my stomach. And then Jimmy Butler made it worse, talking about he missed being here.
Yeah, man, it's tough.
So it's like, and I enjoy the Maxey training video so much because that trauma from Ben Simmons, putting up 2 jump shots each summer in Lifetime Fitness.
Lifetime Fitness against some randos.
It's like you shoot in the summer in a gym that don't pay you, and then come to the gym that pays you and don't shoot. I'm glad we got rid of that problem. But I love y'all guys' take, man. I appreciate y'all for having me on. Man.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate the call. Great way to end it off. How about James Harden in the club, couple rows away, doing his thing? Oh, man, we got to hope. We're putting our money in on James Harden.
A lot of people get mad when I talk about his lifestyle and stuff, but don't judge somebody by whatever. But I do judge because I question what are your values in life, and then because I'm trying to gauge whether you value trying to win in the NBA or just enjoying being a celebrity. And I don't know. I don't like it either, man. I don't like a guy that's always out here acting like some big time. But again, people reach a certain amount of money, and I guess maybe there's no option but to be that way because you're mega rich. You have to hang out with mega rich people, I guess. You can't just hang out with normal people. You can't be George Niang sitting at a normal bar after the game because nobody knows who he is. I don't know.
Well, at the end of the day, let's just hope he gets better and healthier, man. And comes back and shows us stuff. I mean, Philly fans will be on edge. You know that, man. He's going to have to come back and prove it. But really, big step in our offseason is tomorrow night. We got to see what happens. Either we get a player or we make something happen. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. But shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Again, hit that like button. Thank you all, for coming out tonight. Great callers, man. Great comments in the chat. We appreciate everybody. Romp, DJ, appreciate you guys, coming on here, man. It was fun talking with you guys.
Yeah, man. It was a good time.
It's a great time.
Any last positivity for us?
We are screwed. Brutally screwed. No, I'm
It's
excited to
all
see what
about
happens
James.
tomorrow.
It's all about James Harden, Joel Embiid, and Maxey taking another step. And honestly, that's really it, man. I just think we're not as bad as people think we were. It's just our main guy was injured again. And if he's injured again next season, then we are screwed. Because then we're like, listen, is this ever going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, man, we'll see what happens. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. Good talking with these guys. Tomorrow, 2022 NBA draft. Hopefully the Sixers do something, man. Or else, we got to hope and pray. But see how it goes, man. Get us a player. Hopefully we get PJ Tucker, Daryl Morey. Make some things happen, man. Push some buttons. See if this team stays intact tomorrow night. RB, DJ Eastwood, Romp. Subscribe where you guys are watching, man. Hit that like button. Appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Catch y'all tomorrow, man. Draft night. Peace.